Jadon Sancho won't be playing for Manchester United anytime soon after Erik ten Hag confirmed that he's not ready physically and mentally to play for Man United. He's been given time off. Ten Hag is helping Sancho get through whatever he needs to get through. And I want to do this video as a message of support from myself, hopefully from all of you as the community in the comments below as well, because Jadon Sancho is somebody who I know he's such an incredible talent, but somebody who clearly, a bit like Marcus Rashford, and I'll speak about it in this video, is struggling on and off the pitch, and how all of those things are intertwined, and how Erik ten Hag is trying to help him get through all of this. And it opens up an opportunity for a wider conversation about mental health, which I think is so important to bring to the surface wherever possible. And this is one of those occasions. So please, if you do watch this video, make sure you leave your comments down below in support for Jadon Sancho, who's a player who he hasn't quite hit the heights of Dortmund Sancho yet in the Manchester United shirt. And that's a very fair way to describe his career so far. Stop-start, brilliant moments, not enough consistency. And when Jadon Sancho was missing from Manchester United's 2 winter tour games in Spain, there were questions. And this is what Erik ten Hag has said about it when asked by a journalist out in Seville. He said, look, Jadon Sancho has been given an extended break because he is not physically and mentally ready to play for the club. And this is what ten Hag said. He said, we didn't see him in the last games for United, so he wasn't in the right status. So now he's on an individual program. We wanted to finish that program. Hopefully we'll see him back soon. He's not fit enough to be here. Sometimes there are circumstances with fitness and mood. Now he's on a physical program, and our aim is to get him back as quickly as possible. He was good on tour, also when the league started. After we got a drop of level, what happens sometimes is you don't know why or what is causing it. And for me, that's the most important part of this interview. He said that is what we're doing now, trying to research, and we try to get him back. It's a combination of physical and mental issues. And at that point there, about sometimes we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. This is mental health issues are not a one-size-fits-all. Just because it worked for one doesn't mean it will work for another. Just because it didn't work for somebody else doesn't mean it won't work for someone completely different. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It makes it very difficult to approach, very difficult to understand, and also difficult to empathize when it comes to being a football fan. Like, you're not privy to this sort of information, typically. You don't normally hear your manager speaking out of this, but Erik ten Hag is doing his best to protect his players. He did it with Rashford. He's doing it with Jadon Sancho. And he will do it in the future. Let's not get dragged into a Cristiano Ronaldo conversation and debate, because I've seen so much evidence to show that ten Hag is empathising and does empathise with his players. But with Jadon Sancho, there was obviously one huge disappointment that happened this year. And that was him being left out of the England World Cup squad. And ten Hag spoke about that in a little bit of direct detail. He said, I think there's huge competition for England. When you don't show it week by week and you can fall out of the squad, which is exactly what has happened to Sancho. Most of the time, the drop-off comes slowly. He started the season well, but after the international break, his performance was lower. First, you observe it with your eyes, but also then with the stats. We want to bring him back as quickly as possible. I can't give a prognosis of when that will be. I've had several talks with Jadon, but I don't think he'll be back next week, no. Jadon Sancho is working directly with Erik ten Hag to try and get through this. Jadon Sancho is out there doing his own individual training program. Don't need that. But Jadon Sancho is working. Jadon Sancho could be burying his head in the sand right now, by the way. Jadon Sancho could be saying, no, there's nothing wrong. Nah, it's fine. I'll get past it. And then he just never returns. And then he just is never able to break out of it. Instead, he's spoken to Erik ten Hag. They've had frank conversations, and Erik ten Hag is doing this. And Erik ten Hag, I'll speak about it a little bit later in the videos. He's a man who's experienced in helping young players break through, come through, cope with the added pressures, and helping guide them through that process, like a mentor, if you want to call it that, as well as a coach. And I think he's done that with Rashford, helping with Rashford, and he's hopefully going to be doing it with Jadon Sancho. Now, a major thing that I think is still underplayed when it comes to Jadon Sancho is what happened after the Euro 2020 final. Saka, Rashford and Sancho all racially abused on social media after they missed the penalties for England. And that is probably a massive part as to why you are not seeing Jadon Sancho. He's on a social media blackout now. He's focusing on himself. He's focusing on football and trying to cut out the noise. And I have to say that I think being a young player or being a footballer in the modern era, you are so much more exposed to criticism. Hey, look, I went in hard on Harry Maguire. I think he's the only player I've ever gone in hard on. Oh dear, should have worded that differently. Don't click that up, please. Anyway, I went in very critically of Harry Maguire in multiple videos because he was captain. Because I think that the captain should be held to a different standard. And that's why I felt justified in what I was saying. I was never attacking him personally. I was attacking how bad a footballer he was. Now, Jadon Sancho is somebody who clearly isn't fit, who clearly isn't there, but somebody who has been quite recently. In the preseason tour, he was probably one of the most impressive players. Against Liverpool, when he gave Liverpool's defence twisted blood. Amazing. Scored against Leicester. Nice breakaway goal. But something's disconnected. Something's not there. And that is why Erik ten Hag is putting his arm around his shoulder and saying, look, take some time off. And I think it's a really smart approach from Erik ten Hag, because we could go down the... I compared it to Maguire and Solskjaer when I spoke about it in the live stream this morning, saying that Maguire was just kept in the spotlight because Solskjaer thought that's how he's going to get past this criticism, and it just got worse and worse. It was quicksand for him. And I think the perfect example for us Manchester United fans is looking at what's happened with Marcus Rashford. And I think the parallels really are there. Because Marcus Rashford, he admitted back, what was it? May 2021. Admits about the mental struggles that he was really struggling with. And that was that before? I think that was before Euro 2020. Or 2021. But Rashford was struggling. And the change in tone from that conversation there in May 2021 to here in October 2022, when he's, look, I'm in a better headspace. Let's try and go down some quotes here. See what Marcus Rashford actually said. To be honest, it's a completely different energy around the whole club. That for a start puts me in a better headspace, and I just feel really motivated now. That's where I really struggled at times last season. More just mental things, and not really my own performances. It was other things off the pitch, and that's the biggest difference from this season. And that's why you're seeing Marcus Rashford with a huge old smile on his face. They may be paid 120, 200 grand a week, but to try and think that players in the fiercest of spotlights don't struggle, it's just plain wrong. We all struggle in our own ways. Just we as average humans are just able to just go in a room, lock a door, and no one's really going to say anything. No one's going to, where's it? He's having a weekend in. No one's going to say a bean. When you're a footballer in the spotlight, it's very, very difficult to do that. But Erik ten Hag is trying to help Jadon Sancho get back to that smiling Jadon Sancho. As I said, that was in pre-season. Some disconnect is there. If I was to make it, I don't want to make too many assumptions, but if I was to say one, I would say that this has been playing on Jadon Sancho's mind quite a lot. I would say that Jadon Sancho having to sit there and watch that England team get to the semi-final, I'm sure as happy as he was, he wanted to be part of that. And he's good enough to be part of that. But Jadon Sancho, even throughout all these struggles, remember he did this for a young lad. And I think this is quite important to point out as well.
So Sancho responding well to that England disappointment, but he clearly had more than that omission on his mind last night. He made one young Manchester United fan very happy with the celebration after his goal. This is the backstory. This is from young Jacob, who posted this video on Twitter of him handing Sancho a pair of custom shin pads with the United forward's face on it when they met. And Sancho stayed true to his word by wearing the shin pads for last night's match. He posted this on Twitter at full time. He said, "This is for you, Jacob, young legend."
And this is what Jadon Sancho said about it in his post-match interview.
Yeah, sure. A little kid gave me some shin pads, and he asked me to wear them, and I said yeah, no problem. And that was a little gesture from me when I scored, showing him that I was wearing his shin pads that he gave me.
I think for Jadon to do that gesture, especially, I didn't actually realise it was the day after he got omitted from the England squad. He's very aware of others. It's a really nice gesture. It's a sort of thing, it's a bit like Jack Grealish with his celebration at the World Cup. It may not be the most significant thing, but it's a moment which can impact others. And if I'm looking at Jadon Sancho, I'm looking at somebody who clearly needs some help from his manager. And I'm looking at a manager here in Erik ten Hag. I'm putting up a picture of De Jong. I could pull up a picture of De Ligt. I could pull up a picture of Van der Beek. I could put up a ton of other pictures of young academy players that have come through the academy system, got into the first team, into the spotlight, and he's been able to help them, guide them through that period and come out the other side of it stars. And I think I see similarities in how Fergie protected his players and Fergie was a mentor as much as he was a coach, as much as he was a father figure to quite a lot of people. And I think Erik ten Hag has gained a lot of respect inside this squad. He's certainly gained a lot of respect from me personally. I can't speak for all United fans, but in terms of how he's approached this season and I think from a managerial point of view, the things he's dealt with, I think he's dealt with them really fucking well. From the Ronaldo situation to all the players that were in and out of the team, to Rashford, to Shaw, to McTominay, to Ronaldo, to everything. I think he's managed the club fantastically. And I have every belief that Jadon Sancho has the right man there to go and knock on his door when he needs to. And for United, a club of our size, to basically give total leave to Sancho. There's no return date. His return date is when he's ready. And that, I think, is going to be building the trust between Ten Hag and Sancho. Will we see Sancho firing and back to his Dortmund best? I hope so. But United have taken everything on board here, and they're giving Sancho the time. And as I said, I don't know when it will change, but the taboo of speaking about mental health, well, especially when it comes to males, it's wrong. It's fucking wrong. Marcus Rashford, he's spoken about it. He spoke out about it. And look at him now. It helps fans. It helps everybody to understand. It's not a weakness. It's just something that has to be not dealt with, but it's something that you've, as an individual and a human, you've got to understand, learn it, see how it affects you and how you need to tweak maybe patterns, habits to change it and turn it into a positive. And that energy will then take you forward because of what you've dealt with in the past. I'm hoping that will happen with Jadon Sancho. And that, as I said, I wanted to do this video. When it comes to conversations like this, with the platform that we've built here and the community we've got, I definitely feel a social responsibility to be speaking about this sort of stuff. And that's why I like doing it. And I want to do it at the same time. So big up Jadon Sancho, man. Look, I think you got the right manager there, the right man in Erik ten Hag that you can lean on when you need to. United have taken the approach of allowing him to sort of take a step out of the spotlight. I think that's the right thing. With younger players, with social media, with everything that happens on social media, it's a different sphere in the modern game. That's just the reality. It's not about back in my blah, blah, blah. Your day doesn't matter. This is what's happening now, and the fact that Sancho's gone silent on social media speaks volumes for that. But big up Sancho. Good luck, man. See you when you come back. You can let me know what you think in the comments below about how United and Ten Hag are dealing with this and the overall wider conversation about younger players, social media, and the differences in pressures of now and back then. Back in the day as a footballer, you got exposed to abuse when you were on the pitch from someone shouting from the touchlines. Now, somebody in Kazakhstan can slide into your DMs. Somebody from Malaysia can tweet you. You're a lot closer. It's far easier to get burned now than it was back in the day.